Good afternoon. When discussing the many and varied professional opportunities available for public historians, it is important to remember the close ties that public historians have with academia. Professional public historians must stay current with the best practices and skills available while retaining professional communication with the academy. This communication is twofold. First, the new interpretations of public history practices will emerge from scholars from within the academy, and the community of public historians must keep abreast of where the field is heading. Second, public history community develops and deploys practical improvements to our practice and skills every day, and the flow of best practices must also come from the outside back to the academy. With this in mind, peer-reviewed scholarly journals and other publications are just as essential to public historians as they are to those that remain inside the ivory tower of academia. Today, I'd like to talk with you all about the process and procedures that goes into getting a work of historical scholarship published in a peer-reviewed academic journal. For a budding postgraduate student or even someone who has just finished a terminal degree, becoming a published author can be a challenge and daunting undertaking. Historical context and literary prowess are not always enough to see a great piece of scholarship achieve the honor of publication. And more prestigious journals are often more rigorous in their selection process of manuscripts. This meticulous selection process extends to book reviews done by academic journals, which are designed to keep professional historians current on recent publications. While the list of scholarly journals available in the field is too numerous to discuss here, I'll be utilizing four prominent publications to create a composite to define the scope of the submission requirements while allowing us as potential authors to compare and contrast the rigors of the practice. First, the Journal of American History, edited by the Organization of American Historians and published by the Oxford University Press, offers a broad yet prestigious scholarly journal that has been the hallmark of historical research since its creation in 1914. For our pursuits, the Journal of American History offers specialized sections in June and December specifically for public historians. Second, the Journal of Southern History, edited and published by the Southern Historical Association, finds its niche in the history of Southern America and has been a staple of historical research since 1935. Third, the Virginia Magazine of History and Biography, edited and published by the Virginia Historical Society, offers a more centric publication on Virginian history, but remains one of the first and most prestigious journals in the field and has been in publication since 1893. Last, The Public Historian, sponsored by the National Council on Public History and published by the University of California Press, provides a scholarly outlet for research and reviews focused entirely on the skills and practices of public history. This journal is a relatively new addition to the realm of scholarly journals, mirroring the formation of public history as a profession and has been in print since 1978. Together, these publications become an amalgamation of the requirements and practices used by scholarly journals in selecting manuscripts for publishing. These journals also all offer a substantive amount of scholarship involving public history on academic and practical levels. The most important aspect that you will see across all of these journals is the need for potential authors to be purposeful and consistent throughout the submission process in an effort to make the process of submission, peer review, editing, and publishing as methodical, straightforward, and egalitarian as possible. For example, each academic journal utilizes similar formatting criteria for the initial submission of manuscripts. Like most everything in the field of history, Kate Turabian's most recent edition of the Chicago Manual of Style is the required style, though both the Virginia Magazine of History and Biography and the Journal of Southern History use a journal-specific guide to simplify any questions related to style. Additionally, all four scholarly journals require manuscripts to be written in 12-point New Times Roman font, double-spaced in their entirety, with all notations placed at the end of the manuscript rather than at the foot of the page. This allows for manuscripts to be more accessible during peer review. The Virginia Magazine of History and Biography takes this requirement further, limiting, limiting each paragraph to one endnote written in block formatting. All four scholarly publications strongly encourage the use of illustrations, maps, and charts to enhance the historical narrative, and each journal requires the author to obtain permission and credit any images used. Another key aspect is the idea of anonymity. Every press requires potential articles to be independently peer reviewed. Calls for this peer review to be judged anonymously by the Journal of American History, double blind by the Journal of Southern History, and scrutinized by anonymous critique by the Virginia Magazine of History and Biography assure the validity of this process. As such, all four journals call for personal identification to be removed from submitted manuscripts, with names, institutions, and addresses limited to the title page only. Some scholarly journals leverage the use of abstracts to properly match a submitted manuscript to potential peer reviewers, with the Journal of Southern History being the only one which does not require a summary. The Virginia Magazine of History and Biography stresses the need for substance and significance in the abstract, while the public historian goes one step further to require 5 keywords attributed to the manuscript for identification, searching, and indexing. I should note now that the question of length requirements is dictated by all scholarly journals, but their requirements are not consistent across the board. We see this inconsistency in the main body of the scholarship as well as in the length of the abstract. These abstracts are short, only 100 words for the public historian and 500 words for the Journal of American History. For the main body of the work, the Journal of Southern History only requires 8,000 to 12,000 words, while the Virginia Magazine of History and Biography takes writings up to 30 pages. I'd like to take a moment to single out the public historian's length requirements because I think it speaks to the quality and thoroughness of their journal. By this, I mean the public historian dictates length based on the type of manuscript submitted. Research articles at 30 pages, reflective commentaries at 25 pages, and the reports from the field at 15 to 20 pages. Their variety of articles is reflective of the variety of work done by public historians at an academic and also at a practical level. Another key aspect of publication submission considered by academic journals is ownership of intellectual property submitted. All four journals require new submissions to be unpublished prior to publication. Moreover, every press forbids the practice of submitting the same articles to different journals at the same time. As the Virginia Magazine of History and Biography puts it, do not send your manuscripts to more than one editor at a time. Historical journals frown on simultaneous submissions. This is done for practical purposes. Though a potential author may want to get as much exposure for their work as possible, in the end, only one journal can own the work, and so only one journal can publish it. To this end, each journal also differentiates itself based on who owns the manuscript after the submission process is completed. For the Journal of American History, their organization owns the writing after publishing, but the author retains the right to use the material. Conversely, the Journal of Southern History also takes ownership of the scholarship, but requires a written request for the author to use their work elsewhere. They go a step further to fact check, copy edit, and corroborate all writings submitted. Now, let's change tack a bit and talk about a different area of publication, the book review. All journals utilize the practice of book reviews to keep their authors up to date on outside publication and current research. The Journal of American History seeks out new publications based on content, perspective, significance, originality, and scholarship when deciding which books to review. While none of these journals allow for unsolicited book reviews, each has their own unique method of seeking outside authorship for book reviews when necessary. For example, the Journal of Southern History and the Public Historian have forums for potential authors to announce that they are available for reviewing books. The Virginia Magazine of History and Biography calls for their reviewers to, quote, be prompt. The historical profession is a small one. Authors and reviewers who are continually late get reputations among authors. They also remind potential reviews that tenure and promotions are often affected by having one's book reviewed. To this end, the Journal of Southern History requires their book reviewers to have already earned a terminal degree before being considered. I'd like to highlight the work of Donna Lee Van Cott, Assistant Professor of Political Science at Tulane University. While Van Cott's background is in political science, her 2005 article, A Graduate Student's Guide to Publishing Scholarly Journal Articles, illuminates the process of first-time publication for any postgrad students. She speaks of a three-pronged strategy involving editing and revising seminar papers, submitting and presenting work at regional conferences, and focusing on small or emerging journals as targets for first publications. Van Cott believes that exceptional seminar papers allow postgraduate students to, quote, frame the research question and to conduct a thorough literature review of the topic, while giving an opportunity to receive feedback from professors and students alike. From here, Van Cott recommends reviewing professional journals and their websites for upcoming conferences and calls for papers. By submitting well-edited and revised papers, postgraduate students will often see their work accepted at regional conferences, providing more opportunities for exposure and feedback. Though the conference often provide immediate gateways towards publication, you will have to make the final push towards getting your work published in a scholarly journal. Newly established journals or specialized journals receive fewer submissions and offer a higher chance at success. I'd like to close this lecture by reading the last paragraph of Van Cott's work because I think it really encapsulates the process of publication for first-time authors. Remember that academic publishing can be frustrating. Decisions are not always fair. Good work is rejected and mediocre work is published. If your work is good and you try and get something out of the reviews you receive and you keep sending it out to journals and trying to improve it, you will publish it eventually. Think of it as a game. The more you play it, the better a player you become. Learn from your losses and don't take criticism personally. Be humble about your wins, since your success is partially attributed to luck. Improve your karma by being a conscientious and generous reviewer of the work of others.